Good morning, Susan. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I've taken a look at your resume. I'm impressed with your experiences. Can you tell me a little more about yourself?
Good morning, Laura. It's very nice to meet you today. So, a little bit about myself is I recently graduated from Hostos Community College with an AS degree in liberal arts and science. I'm currently transitioning to Lehman College to pursue a bachelor's degree in community and public health. Some of my experiences include me being a translator at New Sanctuary Coalition, a tour guide with the CUNY Explorers program, and my most current role is being an office assistant at the Career Service Office at Hostos Community College. I'm also bilingual in English and Spanish and have very strong proficiency in Google Suite and Microsoft Suite as well.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's dive right in. Can you tell me about a time when you demonstrated critical thinking or problem-solving skills?
Yes, so during my recent role right now as an office assistant at Career Services, I remember we were getting some student feedback that some of the job postings weren't accurate with with the duration of the job. And so I reached out to my team at the office and we discussed the issue. And so we were able to fix it once we saw the issue, and we were able to give constructive feedback back to the students about them being able to apply to proper positions that were actually still hiring currently.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, can you provide an example of how you showcased oral or written communication skills?
Of course. So at Hostos, as my work as an office assistant in the office, I often have to relay important information to students, the other career counselors in the office, and even employers sometimes when they come in to ask about reaching out to our students. So a lot of the time it's about remembering, but also sometimes when I'm revising students' resume, I have to be able to give concise and proper feedback as well. So I think those are one of the instances of where I've had good communication skills in my job.
Thank you. All right. Well, so I would like to move forward and talk to you a little bit about teamwork. Teamwork is very important to us here at ABC Organization. Can you tell me about a time when you had to work closely with others to achieve a common goal?
Of course. So on my resume, as you can see, I did some work with CUNY Recovery Corps, and our main focus there was to drive student engagement. So one of our assignments that we had while I was at the job was that we had to create a presentation, but from the beginning up. So we had to create the actual presentation itself, present it to the students, and then also make it interactive and visually entertaining to the students as well. So me and my team, so we decided to divvy up the work between making the actual presentation itself. Another set of us were doing the graphics for the presentation, and then actually doing the presentation itself. And it worked out great for us because we actually drove it up by 5% for the engagement of students overall.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate insight into how you work with a team. Can you tell me a little bit about a time that you experienced failure or conflict in the workplace?
Of course. So one time during me working at Career Services, I was managing a very specific cohort of students under the Service Corps program, and it was under my responsibilities to do weekly check-ins along with taking down any notes and making sure they were satisfied at their placement sites. Upon review, I had seen that I hadn't followed up with my specific cohort of students for 3 weeks. I realized that it was my mistake, and instead of dwelling on it in the time, I went directly to my supervisor. I addressed the issue with her, and I gave her a plan of action moving forward. Thankfully, she understood very well, and that also helped me in the future because in order for me to not have it happen again, I learned how to make a daily to-do list along with the weekly to-do list so it wouldn't get lost in the shuffle of me managing my multiple tasks at hand. And it also taught me how to do, crisis control in the moment as well, because in the moment, I was a little worried that my supervisor would be upset, but instead of just thinking about that, I addressed it directly and we were able to have a good end of day solution.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the insight into how you respond to feedback. Another question I'd like to address is related to strengths and weaknesses. What would you say are your greatest strengths?
I would say my greatest strength throughout my work experience have me been being able to be a multitasker and also a leader in the workplace as well. I think all of my experiences combined together in the present day have made me be able to take lead in situations of when no one else is, or when, for example, no one just seems to know the answer. So I think I have learned how to be a leader through my experience, even if at the beginning I didn't naturally find myself in that role.
Thank you. What about your greatest weaknesses?
I would say one of my greatest weaknesses is that sometimes I'm a little bit too detail oriented. So sometimes I will hone in specifically on one task and not focus on the other ones at hand. So that would be, I think, one of my greatest weaknesses, that sometimes I focus too much on one thing and forget about the bigger things at hand.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. Following up on that question, I was reviewing your resume and I noticed something interesting. There was a program mentioned called the HACU HSI Grow with Google Career Readiness program. It mentions career readiness, so I just wanted to ask how that would contribute to your ability to flourish here at ABC organization.
Of course, no problem. So the Grow with Google Career Readiness program was a great program that I was able to take multiple lessons from, but specifically the one that I remember the most, that have been the most helpful in my current position and hopefully in this position that I'm applying for, is working with the spreadsheet, building a Google slide deck, and also collaborating with others. Through the pathways and the lessons in these individual programs, I was really able to grow my skills on an individual basis. I was able to go back and reference whenever I felt like I had an issue. And overall, it just felt like a really supportive and interactive program.
That's wonderful to hear. We rely a lot on spreadsheets here, so it's great to hear you have those skills. Following up on that, I noticed that that Grow with Google was taken at the same time as your degree program. How has your ability with time management been affected by you participating in multiple programs at the same time, such as Grow with Google and your degree program? Since I know you said you'll be taking your bachelor's degree while doing this.
Of course. So actually part of the Grow with Google readiness program overall, one of the sections or one of the lessons in the specific pathways is about time management. So that I was actually able to learn how to manage my time better by doing the program itself. And what it taught me was that it can be through multiple different ways. It can be through spreadsheets. It can be through a physical calendar. And what it taught me was that it was really just about writing a list down of the most important priorities of my day to day, and then breaking it down in bigger slots. So day by day, weekly, monthly, and then there's many ways to personalize it to make it the best fit for you.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with any calendar apps, or do you use those?
Of course. So I use the Google Calendar very closely. It's the one I have on my phone and associated, but we also, because of the interface at my office, we use the Microsoft Calendar a lot as well.
Okay, excellent. We were looking for someone with skills in Google Calendar, so it's good to hear that you're comfortable with that. Those are the questions that I have based on your resume now. So do you have any follow-up questions for me?
Before we conclude, I'd like to reflect on this interview. It's given me great insight on how to perform in future interviews, but it also gave me insight as to what the specific company was looking for their future position. Even if every interview doesn't turn out great or how you expect exactly, always take it as a learning experience and something to grow with.